What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Dad Bod Pod, a place for men to learn, grow, and live the healthiest life possible. I'm your host, Jason Priest. I've got an exciting guest for you guys today. You guys are going to love this episode. Him and I chatted before the episode and really have a lot of things in common, and we're excited to dive in today. But before I go there, if you are a brand new listener, highly encourage you to go back and check out some of our prior episodes. There's a lot of value there, man. We lay out the entire game when it comes to getting healthy and becoming the healthiest version of yourself. Lots of inspiration, motivation, and a lot of knowledge for you to consume. So if you're a long-term listener, thank you so much for your support. We greatly appreciate the support. And if you get any value out of today's show, please do us one favor. We do not run ads. We greatly respect your time. I can't do the Joe Rogan style 5-hour interview. So we keep them short. We keep them sweet. We want you to get maximum value for the minimum amount of time that you're spending with us. So if you get value out of this episode, please take 10 seconds out of your day, drop us a quick review. That's what helps grow the show. That's what helps gets the show into the ears of more men who could potentially change their lives and become the healthiest version of themselves. So, with me today, I have Cedric Bertelli. He is the founder and director of Emotional Health Institute, an organization that provides information and education about emotional resolution, or EmRes. Cedric and the Emotional Health Institute give people struggling with stress, depression, anxiety, and many other negative emotions access to the best trained professionals who can guide them to resolve disruptive emotional patterns. The reason I am so excited for this episode is that Cedric, I'll just tell you before I intro you to the show is that we are very big on what we call the 4 core pillars of health. And we list them in a certain order because we firmly believe that this is the best way to get aligned. And so those are sleep, stress management, nutrition, and fitness. And those are the pillars that we pound often. And so when I got the request for this interview and I saw that you're big on the stress, the anxiety, the depression, I think that's a things that a lot of people out there are struggling with. So welcome to the show, my man. I'm excited to talk to you.
Well, thank you, Jason. I'm super excited to be here with you.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So, as I mentioned, we don't have any scripted questions other than one. So, you being originally from France, as we spoke about before the show, I just want to get your take because obviously, and I'll just tell you, my thought process, or what I've always thought about France as a whole in terms of their country, is that they're generally a pretty healthy country. You guys don't have anywhere near the obesity problem that we have in our country. So I want to get your take because that's probably a night and day difference between the two countries in terms of health. So what is your take on where we're at as a country? You know, we talked a little bit about the term dad bod, but what is your take on where we're at as a country, both physically and mentally, in terms of our health here in the US?
You know, it's a great question. You know, I think my generation, I'm 40 now, my generation and the next generations are different. I think my generation was maybe the last generation to mostly eat whole food. Like my grandfather is 98, he's very healthy. I am lucky to be very healthy. And I think it comes a lot from the way I grew up. And the main difference I will say is we ate whole food, 3 meals a day, you know, actual vegetables, actual meat, very little processed food. And, you know, things from the garden as much as we could. And that built us the way we are. You know, we are healthy. We are a healthy nation. And even if we eat butter and oil and a ton of bread, I mean, we eat bread for 3 meals a day, right?
Okay.
And as you notice, at least my generation and previous that we were not overweight. Now it's like everything. Things change. People work more. Ladies, you know, my mom was coming home and cook lunch. Now we can't do that anymore. So I think we're sliding in France toward the same thing that we are here in the US, which is people are working a lot and they have to find quick solution. They try to be as healthy as they can, but if they want to eat healthy now, it's expensive. Sure. So it's always the same thing, right? You have less, you don't have a very high salary, so you don't maybe eat organic food and you eat more processed food. And it's a maintenance loop. It's not easy.
Yeah, no, and you bring up a good point, and I'm not that aware of that because I'm not there. But I totally understand where you're coming from because the reality is you know this rat race mentality that probably most countries have. I've done a couple of interviews of guys who have come on and talked about the blue zones where, the healthiest people in the world, where these people are living to 100 years plus. And it's very much that, like, the reality is in those areas of the country, you've got people that are essentially living off the land, like you said, when your generation, but also have physical activity built into their day. They don't have to go out and seek exercise. It's already part of what they do. And then there are also very social people. When they're not farming and herding their sheep or whatever, the cattle and whatever they're doing, they're socializing and they're spending time with one another. And so you and I both know that emotional health and mental health has a huge impact on our longevity, just like physical health. We're all intertwined. And so I totally see where that's coming from. Before I forget though, before we shift over to talking more anxiety, depression, stress management, really the mental health as a whole, I want to bring up this one little sidebar, because something that I've noticed is that, here in the States, unless you're in San Francisco, so you guys might have some like specialty, one-off France restaurants, but in terms of our French restaurants, but in terms of like chains, I think there's like La Madeleine is about what we got, right? And so the thing that I noticed though about La Madeleine is that, you compare La Madeleine to a different chain, let's just call it a Chili's or an Olive Garden or something like that. Still, now I haven't been to a La Madeleine in a while, but the last time that I visited one, the big thing that you'll notice is that their portion sizes at La Madeleine are significantly smaller than any American chain restaurant. And I think that's a big piece of your French culture as well, is that you guys you're not filling a 12-inch dinner plate with mounds of food. Portion control is important, and it looks like that's still being practiced to an extent.
Yes, it is. You're absolutely right. We eat way less and we don't snack. Like even kids, when you're in kindergarten, first grade, you might have something at 4 p.m. and a little something at 10 a.m., but we don't snack during the day. So we do 3 meals, small portion, and that's it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that makes sense. Look, cool. Well, I wanted to go there for a second because that's the one thing that I've noticed, but let's shift over. I think this is going to be a very valuable episode for a lot of guys out there, because let's just be honest. As you and I spoke before the show, this pandemic has obviously, it's been sad. There's a lot of people that have lost their lives, but the reality is when we start talking pandemic and we start looking at, the suicide rates, crime, and all these things that are skyrocketing these days. A lot of this can be obviously directly attributed to mental health. You've got people in states that are still locked down, that haven't seen friends in damn near a year, or maybe even only 6 months or even more. And it's a sad thing, because as humans, as well as I do, we're meant to socialize. We're meant to communicate. We're not meant to carry around our emotional baggage by ourselves. Sometimes the best way to solve some of those issues is simply talking about it, simply having an outlet to discuss and release some of this. So let's go there for a minute. Like, what are you seeing? Because obviously you're way more entrenched in the mental health side of things than me. So let's go there and let's talk about that and kind of unpack what you're seeing from your end in terms of mental health and where we're at and what this trend is leading to with the pandemic.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to go back to something you said earlier, which is that resilience happens for us, men and women, when we move our body, when we are social, when we talk to other people, etc. And what the pandemic did in many ways is, as you just said, removed all that. It removed the physical activity. It removed the social interaction. It removed just being with our peers and in relationship. So basically, the pandemic made us face our darkest demon all at once, with no outlet to do anything except maybe booze sometimes, or smoking pot, or for some guys it's gonna be porn. Like we try to go into like, what can we do right now that make us feel a little bit better, but the space is so small that we have to face our own demons. And for
Yes.
some of us, for most of us, we're not used to it. We're
Yes.
so used to go to the gym to decompress, go for a run to decompress. We're so used to do things to control our emotion constantly. Then with the pandemic, a lot of our control mechanism have been taken away from us.
Yes.
And now what do we do with what's inside?
It's yeah, and I that's powerful, because a lot of us don't know how to channel that energy, and that's the reality. Is like when you start talking about you mentioned booze, you mentioned pot, you mentioned porn. We can take it a step further and even go into heavier drugs, right? Some guys that are getting involved in things that, you know, ultimately, and I love where we're going with this, because a lot of times, like when we have other guests on that are like, you know, let's bring, I interviewed a guy earlier today. It was a naturopathic doctor, right? And we're talking, you know, he's very all about, you know, natural healing, right? And so the root cause of something like that is it usually comes back to nutrition, right? When it comes to physical health, like we are what we eat. And unless you embrace that and you can actually buy into that and subscribe to that theory, you're going to struggle, right? And that's the reality. You eat this processed shit all the time, you're going to struggle. And so I like that we're going here, because the same thing holds true with this, right? When in the medical community, in traditional American medicine, we are very much about putting Band-Aids on problems. You go to the doctor right now and you're 30 or 40 pounds overweight, you've got high blood pressure, high cholesterol. What are they going to do? They're going to tell you to eat less. They're going to tell you to move more. And they're going to give you a couple of medications to address your issues, right? Absolutely. The treatment, that's their treatment plan. Instead of saying, hey, we need to address the root cause, you need to get your ass in gear. This is what your nutrition needs to look like. I'm going to put you on a physical activity regimen. Like, they don't have time to go there. So it's all about Band-Aids. And so going back to what you just mentioned, when we're talking about booze, we're talking about pot, we're talking about porn, we're talking about all the things that, you know, guys are looking for that immediate outlet. Again, it's just a Band-Aid.
That's
right. We don't have, you're not addressing the root cause, which comes in the form of, you know, communication, socialization. If you have underlying issues in clinical depression or clinical anxiety, then maybe you need, you know, maybe you need to talk to a therapist or a counselor, and maybe medications at some point. I get that there's some emotion or some chemical imbalances in some people, and medications need to be a last resort. But now, going back to what we were talking about, like, we don't have a resort, so we're turning to these substances. Some people that aren't substance fans maybe turning to crime and doing things to fulfill that need. And so, how are we helping these people? That's my next question. Like, how are these people going to have an outlet? Because right now, states like yours, again in California and New York, like, there's not really a light at the end of the tunnel in terms of lockdown. That you guys are still. You know, it's a complete 180 of Texas, like I said. And so how are these people being helped?
So how they're being helped, I'm not sure. And they're probably not being helped very much, but I can tell you what they can do, right?
Sure.
Because what we do with the Emotional Health Institute in this emotional resolution thing is teaching people how they can resolve their emotional difficulties. We can all do that. You know, the same way that you talk about physical fitness, that's emotional fitness. And we're not talking about coping with the emotion. We're talking about understanding how the brain constructs emotion and how we can, on ourselves, by ourselves, resolve those emotional difficulties.
I love it.
So, you know, we spend our life, as you said, coping with that. You know, we eat to feel better. We do all those things to feel better. Why? Because we feel tension in the body, right? We feel tension, we have tension, and we try to find an exutoire, something to put it out, to shut it down, to feel better.
Yes.
Now, we're
all looking for that dopamine, right?
That's right. That's right. Now, the key is when we feel tension, when we feel anxiety, when we feel stress, depression, whatever it is, the answer is not going to be in something we're going to do, something we're going to take. No, the answer is inside. And not in a mystical way, not in a spiritual way. No, inside, physically, in the tension. You see, the way that the brain constructs emotion, we know that today. An emotional difficulty, a stress, an anxiety, whatever things that come back in our life is a prediction from the brain, an obsolete prediction from the brain. So I think the key to emotional health is to understand what is an emotion and how an emotion can be released instead of trying to cope with it or instead of trying to shut it down. Now, I can explain how an emotion is made. Would you like me to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, the reality is this: is that we're with what we teach, and we teach guys to achieve optimal health for peak performance. We're our company is not just about diet and exercise. Our company is about, we want to give you a long-term solution so that you have, we want to be your last stop if you have to work with somebody with health. We also bring in leadership, personal development, growth. We want you to become a better man. But the reason I tell you all that is because we're very big on not just telling you the how, because look, I could tell you right now, hey, Cedric, like, this is how you're going to lose 10 pounds. Go do it, right? Like, I know the prescription to lose 10 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
But if you only know the how and you don't know the why, that brain-body connection is not made. If I tell you the why behind the how, you are 99.9% more likely to follow through with that action. And so with that being said, I absolutely want to know the why and the how from where you're coming from.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to try to make it short, yeah?
Yeah, you're good.
One of the main job of our brain is to predict. The
Sure.
brain predict constantly. We do not respond or react, but we do sometimes. But most of the time, we predict based on past experiences.
Agree with that.
We can see that with food. When you know what an apple tastes like, before you take an apple in your mouth, when you're right about to buy the apple, your brain is already predicting what you're about to experience: the crunch, the taste, the juice, etc.
Right.
You don't even have to eat the goddamn apple. You can just have the experience without doing it. Okay. That's a prediction. Okay. An emotional difficulty is also a prediction. We know today that at the origin of every single one of our emotional difficulties, stress, anxiety, etc., is always the same kind of event. Is a moment that was extremely stressful for us.
Sure.
Physically or emotionally. And what you and I live as a stress today is different from a baby or a 1-year-old live as a very stressful moment.
Yes.
It's different. So what we can call it a trauma, for example. It's going to be very different from a 1-day-old than a 40-year-old.
Sure.
Now, what's happening is at the moment that we live a very high stress, there is a normal defense mechanism happen, which is the cognitive mind shut down.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't suffer too much. And the subconscious mind takes over.
Sure.
So to give you an idea, what you and I were aware of right now, that's about 2,000 bits of information per second.
Okay.
That's what we gather. Your subconscious mind, at the same time, is gathering 400 billion bits of information per second. When we live a very high stress, the cognitive mind shut down, but the subconscious mind is recording everything. What you smell, what you hear, what you see, what you taste, and the subconscious mind also record what you feel in your body at that moment, the physical sensations that you feel in your body at that moment.
Sure.
Okay. Now, after this quote-unquote trauma, and we have hundreds of them, right?
Sure.
In our life, from the moment we were born, we have hundreds of moments which are very, very stressful. But anyway, after these moments, when the body finds itself in a situation, when it recognizes one or several elements from one of the trauma we lived, your subconscious mind is going to generate the physical sensations that you are about to feel based on what was felt at the moment of the trauma.
Love it.
So, the way that we know that we feel an emotion, you and I or anybody, is because we feel it in our body. An emotion always starts with a physiological response.
Sure.
You have physical sensations, then those physical sensations are being taken in consideration by the cognitive, put into a context, and here you have an emotion.
Mm-hmm.
So the physical sensation that we feel during an emotion were the very same sensation that were felt at the moment that the emotion was created.
Yes.
Now, those sensations are the key to emotional health. We spend our life to shut them down, those sensations, because that's why we feel uncomfortable. We shut them down by drinking, speaking, like even trying to understand why we feel an emotion is a way to control it. Now, what I'm going to offer is counterintuitive, because in order for us to resolve an emotional difficulty, we have to remain with the physical sensations. That means that when we feel an emotion, it's a prediction from the brain that you're about to feel a danger, to face a danger. Now, the fact is, today, there is no danger when you feel anxiety. There is no actual danger. The actual reality of our life is not dangerous. The body is predicting that you're about to feel a danger. And for some reason, you try to take control on how you feel, on your environment, or where the danger might be.
Okay.
Every time we're trying to control through food, breath, booze, whatever it is,
Sure.
we are reinforcing the message to the brain that we're facing a danger. We must be facing a danger because we're controlling. Now, the key for the brain to update a prediction is to do nothing. When you feel an emotion, instead of yelling on the kids, yelling at your wife, instead of doing anything, when you feel the emotion, take responsibility for it. You feel the emotion, okay, you feel it, you stop, you close your eyes, and you're gonna pay attention to what we call interoception, which is a physical sensation present right there.
Okay.
Feel the sensations in your body, really own it, and do nothing. Don't go into any kind of reaction.
That sounds hard as hell, man. I'm just going to tell you right now, and I hate to cut you off because I want you to continue that thought, but I'm thinking in my situation right now, I'm thinking about my almost 6-year-old kid when he pisses me off, and I don't know any other way than to raise my voice. I have a bit of a short fuse, which I've been working on as a father. I'll own it. It's not something that I want to continue, but my initial reaction is to is to raise my voice and let him know that I mean business. And I know that there's better outlets. I know there's a better way to channel that energy. And I would love to be the calm dad that doesn't continue that, so he doesn't have to listen to that his whole childhood. So in my mind, I'm thinking, all right, like, how am I going to use this in my own personal life? There's a lot of situations, but that's the one that comes to mind.
Yes.
So I'm processing this. Go on.
So what you said there is perfect, right? The kid is doing something that pisses you off. Like there is something, and it's happening. So the thing is, what we do usually is like, we raise our voice, we tell him to stop or whatever it is.
Sure.
Okay, that's a response. And you'll still be able to address the problem with the kid. Because what I'm offering here to experience is not something you're gonna keep on doing for the rest of your life, right?
Right.
Once a prediction is updated, it's updated permanently.
Okay.
Something is happening out there. It does something, and you feel the tension in your body. You want to like cut it. Okay.
Yeah.
When you do that, when you feel that, you stop. It's okay. You're gonna have time to address the problem. You know, he's 6 years old. You're gonna
that problem's. He's gonna do it again.
He's gonna do it again.
Yeah.
Now the key is you feel it, and screaming at him. You will notice, and screaming at him is a way for us to feel better.
Yes.
Okay.
Dude, this is like. And I don't spank my kid anymore, right? Very rarely do I get to that level because he's almost 6, right? That doesn't work anymore. Like, it's one of those things where like his immediate reaction is to potentially hit me back, right? And I know deep down inside that I'm only hitting him or only spanking him for my own good. And I know that, and it's still one of those things where it's like, it's a last resort. And again, we don't do it anymore, but when it was working, when I could give him that little swat on the ass and say, hey, like, not okay. And I got his attention, and he's like, okay, when like, I don't want to do that again because I don't want that punishment.
Feeling.
Like, I realized that right there is not serving either one of us. And it's mostly for me, but it's still hard as hell to stop.
Yes, but I mean, come on, man. You of anyone. I mean, you have will. I know. You know, I listened to some of the podcasts before talking today, so I know what you're all about.
Sure.
Some of it.
Yeah.
I know you have will. I know that you have your determination, and that's the thing, right? We have determination for things, but for emotion, it takes us by the collar, and we react because it's uncomfortable. It's like having a monster inside. And we act so we can shut down the monster inside of us.
Or get it out.
Get it out.
Yeah.
And so theoretically, we do that for the own good of the kid. We give him an education. But the fact is, we're doing it because it's painful inside of us.
Yes.
So it's a matter of will. At the beginning, it's like going to the gym, right? It's a matter of will. You feel that inside, stop. Don't say anything to the kid. Go into another room. You close your eyes and you feel the tension inside of you. You don't scream. You don't try to make it go away. You become intimate with it. You become intimate with the rage or the anger or the sadness. Where is it in your body? Once you pay attention to where the tensions are in your body, you're not in reaction anymore. You're now in touch with your emotion. Feel the sensations in your body. And from the moment you feel the sensations in your body, you see when we scream at our kid, it's like the emotion is having us and it does whatever it wants with us. We're not in charge anymore. It just has it.
You know, now, it's funny you say that. It's funny. You're for those of you guys who are tuning in, if you want to, you might want to watch YouTube for this one. But for those of you guys who are tuning in, Cedric is grabbing his collar as if the emotion's got a stranglehold of him. And I'm visualizing this in my mind, like, yep, the emotion is grabbing my collar while I've got my hand on my son's collar because I'm in control of him. Yeah. And it's this like vicious cycle that I cannot break.
You got it. Okay, if we got that through the show, it's perfect. That's exactly what it is. Now the key is the emotion is not some kind of entity that come upon you. It's not some kind of ghost. No. The emotion is inside. It's inside of you. It's yours. He may be pushing the button, but the emotion is yours. Nothing to do with him. He's just pushing the button, just like your wife, just like mine. They're just pushing button, but the emotion is none of their business. It's inside of us. It came inside of you when, I don't know, maybe you were 1 year old, maybe you were one, it doesn't matter, but it's your emotion. So it's your emotion. It's our responsibility to take care of it. As dads, as men, it's our responsibility, and women, of course, but
sure, it is mostly guys.
More for guys, right?
Yeah.
It's our responsibility to be strong enough to take the responsibility and feel the emotion in us. It's not fair for us to put it out there. What is that? Yeah? So I know it's tough. I know
it's so hard, man. That's what you're telling me this, and I'm sitting here. I'm like, you know what? Like this, I've been looking forward to this interview. But I didn't know that it was gonna strike a chord in me like this. I'm like, you know what? Like, I know. Here's the reality. It's like most of the guys that are tuning into this show, you heard my intro, right? It's like this is a place for men to learn, grow, and live the healthiest life possible. The growth part is so massive for me because I believe that the minute that we stop growing is the minute that we start dying. I would imagine you agree. You're not ready to start dying either. And I would imagine you would be the first to admit that you've got a lot of area in your life that you have room for growth. We all do, right? I don't ever want to stop growing. And so when I'm listening to you tell this to me, I feel an emotion inside. It's a borderline anger, but it's also a borderline guilt and a borderline, I don't even know how to explain it. It's got me thinking long, deep, and hard about being a better man and being a better father. And that's what I want for myself. So I know the listeners out there right now are resonating with the message, but like I'm feeling some kind of way right now, man. I'm not going to lie to you.
It's normal. It's counterintuitive. Basically, we're spending our life not to feel that. And what I'm inviting, all I do with all day long is working with people, men, women, teenagers, on their emotions. And all I do is re-trigger them and then allowing them to stay with the sensations, to just be with the sensations without trying to change them or without trying to understand why they feel that way, to just feel with the physical sensations. And after a session, the way they felt, they will not feel it anymore. Most of the time, sometimes you have to do another session. But you're right, it is tough.
It is very tough. So you're saying if I can have the wherewithal and have the mental fortitude to make this happen a time or two, I'm reprogramming my subconscious mind, and I should be coast should be clear after that. But I got to make it happen those first couple times.
Yes, and it's not only the anger. You will see that you have stress, anxiety, like all this stuff that you manage. Like you can see the really big one because you scream or you do something. But then you notice when you start to resolve the big ones and you feel the difference, right? You feel the emotion, you stop, you go into the bathroom, you lock yourself in. Where is it in my body? Feel the sensations in your body and just control your mind so you only feel the sensations in your body. No story, no explanation, nothing. What's going on in my body? Feel that. Feel the tensions, feel the twitching, and you do nothing. You do nothing. That's going to happen for about 2 minutes maximum. Okay? A prediction from the brain. Basically, your brain is predicting that for you, at the moment that your child is doing something, subconsciously, you're facing a danger. Okay? Your brain is thinking that something bad is going to happen to you. Your brain thinks that there is a danger right now in whatever your kid is doing. It doesn't make any sense. But remember, when your emotion was created, maybe you were 2 days old. Maybe you were 1
I don't
hour.
need to make sense of it. That's what you're saying, is that
makes sense.
I don't need to know why the emotion is happening. The reality is it's happening. And now, and you know, I'm very big on, you know, we can't control external factors around us, but we can control the way that we react to these external circumstances. And what you're saying right now is hitting the damn nail on the head, because that is exactly what this is. Like, I can't control that my kid is acting like a buffoon, but I can control my reaction to him, which is going to lead to me potentially becoming a better father in the long run.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You got it. You got it. So you take care of yourself first before doing anything.
Yeah, the old flight attendant analogy, right?
That's
Put your mask on first. We use that a lot.
That's right.
But I'm feeling like this is my own therapy session. So I'm hoping a lot of the guys out there that are listening right now are getting something out of this, because as a dad, I mean, I own my flaws, man. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say I'm this perfect parent, because I'm far from it. And what I want to do in my own life is my 5-year-old's about to be 6 this month. He's turning 6 on the 24th. But I also have a 7-month-old. And if I can learn anything from child 1 and become a better father for child 2, as he's starting to go through these phases that are challenging me and doing the things that I know that I need to be a better dad about, like, I'm all about it. I'm almost feeling like this is my own therapy session. I feel like I need to pay you.
No. But also look. If you resolve that, right? You resolve the anger and all. Look at the modeling that you give to him. Like, let's say you resolve so, okay, it does something which is not right, but you resolve the anger. Next time it's going to do something which is not right. You're not going to be taken by the emotion, but you will address the problem from, I would say, almost from soul to soul.
Yes.
You can sit him down, and without any rage, without any anger.
God, I want this so bad, man. I do.
It's doable. It's completely doable. And I tell you one more thing. We work with a lot of schools here. We used to when it was open. Okay.
Sure.
When the adult is not angry and not controlling the anger, I'm not talking about keeping it inside and trying to look cool. I'm talking about
channeling it.
Yes.
Being able to channel that anger in a positive manner, right? That energy needs to be released in a positive light instead of a negative light.
That's right. And once you do the resolution, like we explained before, the kid is doing the same thing. You sit down, you tell him, like, from being calm to him, you know, the way that you're going to speak, the words you're going to speak are going to stay with him. Like, he is going to hear you. You see?
Because I'm not screaming anymore.
That's right. When you scream at the kid, or when I scream at the kid, because we're all the same, yeah? I'm not better than you in any way. When we scream at the kid, they don't hear what's behind it. All they hear is a giant adult screaming at them.
Yes.
And what are they? They're afraid. They don't hear what we say.
No, they hear it, but they're not listening, right? It's a difference. Like that, those words aren't registering. All they're hearing is blah, blah, blah. And like, they know that hearing blah, blah, blah is bad. And so maybe they stop, or maybe they keep pushing buttons. But the reality is it didn't serve anybody. That situation didn't serve him, nor did it serve me. And now I need the emotional resolution.
That's correct. And you don't need me, you don't need anybody. By simply listening to those, well, by the way, every month, next one will be March 23rd. It's $8. I spend an hour and a half to explain exactly how to do this process on oneself, because everybody can do it on ourselves. And it's not something you're going to have to do for a lifetime. Every time a prediction is updated, it's updated forever until something proves the brain wrong.
Yes. Subconscious mind is a powerful thing. We talk about it often, how important it is to use your subconscious mind for you instead of against you. I firmly believe that a lot of the things that we teach in our program, some of those are a gratitude journal. Let's be honest. You do a gratitude journal one time. Is it going to make a damn difference in your life? Probably not. You might feel a little good that time. You start doing that on a regular basis, and it does change those patterns in your brain. Another thing that we're very big on is taking credit for your victories, taking credit for your wins, and documenting your wins at the end of the day for our clients. Because the reality is I don't give a shit how bad your day was. You take that to bed with you, and you make sure that you document 5 wins for the day. Could be as little as spending 30 minutes with your kid at the park with no cell phone. Or could be, that somebody said something positive to you. Maybe you made a post on social media and someone reached out and was like, you know what, that really helped me, or something like that. There's anybody that has a shitty day can find 5 wins. And I think when you start to program your subconscious mind, you're telling yourself, I'm a winner, and you take that to bed with you. And this is where your outlook will start to change. So I know the power of the subconscious mind, but I need to use it. I need to practice what I preach, but in different areas. And this is powerful, man.
Good. It's when you feel the emotion, it's surrendering to what's going on inside. I often tell my client is like, okay, you're feeling the emotion. It's like a dragon. What you got to do is go inside the belly of the dragon and surrender. Mm-hmm. Don't try to fight the emotion. If you try to fight the emotion or to control it, it's going to keep on coming back because your brain thinks that you are actually in danger. Surrender. Yes. Let it happen. It's going to be tough for 2 minutes.
Yes.
But that's it.
I'm trying it today.
You try it and let me know. Like, shoot me an email, shoot me a text. Let me know.
I'm trying it today. And I might take you up on that, your class that you do, man. Like this would help me tremendously. And I know it. And the reality is look, we are very big here on asking for help. Myself, my 2 business partners, we have mentorship. We believe strongly in mentorship. And one thing that we see a lot of in our free Facebook group is that guys will raise their hand for help, and then the time presents themselves to get the help and invest in themselves, and they want to hide the problem again. It's like, I'm not going to go there. And like, dude, it's a different mentality when you embrace that it is okay as a man to ask for help. We're taught as kids that, and let me go here for a second, because I want to get your take on this. And men in general, we traditionally are losing, or we're starting to see a trend where we're losing more and more outlets that we once had. We're taught as children, and I don't know how they did this in France, but here growing up, like I played soccer for 15 years. You're taught that if you get an injury, get up, rub some dirt on it, no big deal. Or you're taught, big boys don't cry. You got to keep those emotions in. We're taught that this toughness mentality, you got to be strong, you got to be tough. And I'm all for being strong and tough because I believe there's a time and a place for that for your family. Sure. But telling a man that they don't have an outlet to release their emotions is a crock of shit. And that's how this mental health issue becomes even more and more pressing for guys, because they don't have an outlet. And so I believe firmly in mentorship. And I think that more guys need to recognize that and raise their hand and ask for help, and actually accept the help when it's presented to them, because it could potentially change their life. And so when you're telling me this, and I know that it can help me tremendously, which this episode already has helped me a lot, it's powerful, powerful stuff, man.
And for a long while, I was with men's group, and it was absolutely changing for me. It was like to be men with men, talking about our joy, our failure, and also our pain, and having other men listen, giving you advice. So it's very powerful, and it's needed. I think 100%. It's needed.
And that is why I will tell you that inside of our private community, where we're working with guys at a very high level, very closely, we do 2 Zoom coaching calls every single week with our group. Mm-hmm. And these guys not only get face-to-face time to work through their health issues, but I'm going to be honest with you, a lot of times things that come up are exactly what you're talking about, because they don't have another outlet. We want to talk about things that, obviously they want strategies to help them get healthier. But what we're doing is we're helping you get healthier and leveraging your health to become a better man. It's not just about, hey, get healthy. This is not vanity stuff. This is, let's use you achieving optimal health for peak performance as your vehicle to become a better man. And so when we start bringing this full circle, and guys are talking about, well, I've got all this stuff on my plate. I'm stressed. I'm depressed. I'm anxious on all these things. That's where the magic happens, because not only do you have the knowledge and the strategy that we're teaching you, but you also have an outlet. So I love that you went there, because men's groups in general, there needs to be more of them, in my opinion.
Yep, I agree. And it can be online. It can be in person. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. And you need an outlet.
Yes, you need an outlet. And you need, nowadays, as a man, when you were a child, maybe they told you not to feel anything, but nowadays, as a man, I think it's very important to take responsibility for our emotion. If we don't take responsibility for our stress, our depression, our anxiety, it's going to come out one way or another, and it's not going to be healthy, and it's not going to be pretty, It's not going to be nice for our family, for our friends, etc. We've got to take the time to take responsibility for our emotion and don't see it as a failure or don't see it as a weakness. It's not because as a man I have depression that I'm weak. No, I have depression, and that's it. That's the way it is inside. Or I'm anxious, and that's it. That's the way it is. There's no judgment there. It's accepting what it is. It is, and that's it. Trying to control it, trying to hide it, trying to cope with it is only, as you said, a band-aid, and that's not going to go anywhere. So now when you have a client in front of you and say, wow, fuck, I feel anxious. Okay, where do you feel that in your body right now? Where is it in your body right now? Become intimate with it. Get out of your head. Where is it in your body, the anxiety now? Why is my heart pounding? Okay, close your eyes. Where else? My stomach is tight. Okay, now you feel those sensations. You do nothing. Just like feel the sensation, feel them, do nothing. Don't try to change it and see the miracle happen.
Man, like I can tell you right now, I'm taking action on it. This is one of those episodes where I feel like I might have gotten more than the audience, but I'm sure the audience is going to love this episode too. I already know. I'm already like thinking of guys reaching out and be like, dude, like that episode crushed. Do you have a few more minutes? I know you said you had an hour. We're running short on time. Do you have a couple more minutes?
Couple more minutes, yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, I want to ask you one question. I want to get your take because we just like that was a wealth of information. You gave strategies. You gave the why behind the how. Love where this is going. And to be honest with you, man, I'm already thinking like, let's do a part 2. This is needed, and we don't have enough mental health talk as men. And I feel like you and I could probably go, we might be able to do a Joe Rogan 5-hour episode on mental health. And so let me ask you one more question. We'll close shop today and let's just do it. Let's just put it on the map. I would love to talk to you again. Maybe 3, 4, 6 months down the road, let's revisit because I don't know what your schedule looks like, but I know this is going to be a valuable episode. So let me ask you this one question because this is something that I personally have always wondered about. And I want to set aside the exceptions, okay? The exceptions in this situation. First, let me ask the question, and then I'll tell you the exceptions in my mind. So the question for you that I have is, do you believe, because I've read this in different places, and I know that a lot of people kind of have this view of depression and anxiety, but do you believe that for most people, the exception being when it comes to depression and anxiety, the exception being those people out there that actually have a chemical imbalance that need medication, right? And that's, I believe, it's a small percentage. If these people actually address the root cause first, I believe that the percentage of people that actually need to be on medications is quite small. I believe that medications are way overprescribed, especially in this current landscape. And so that exception might be a much bigger number now, but let's just say that if the root cause was addressed, depression and anxiety medications could be kept to a minimum, I think worldwide, if we're being real. All right. But take those guys out. All right. Those people out.
Yes.
Do you believe that in most situations, and this is probably directly related to the emotional response that we're talking about, do you believe that in most situations that the majority of depression that most people feel is because they think they dwell too much on the past? And then the people with anxiety are focused too much on the thing. And let me back up. On the depression, they dwell on things they can't control about the past, and that they're thinking they get way too deep on hindsight because it's always 2020, and they think what could have been. And then for the anxiety people, they're worried so much about things they can't control in the future, and it just gets in their head and becomes this vicious rat wheel, hamster wheel that they go down because they don't have control, but they don't know how to channel those emotions. Do you believe that is true, or some kind of something similar to that is true?
Yeah, I think it's correct. I think that most of the time it can be anxiety, it can be depression, whatever it is. It's happening when the body memory or the body reaction is not attuned to the current reality. Most of the time, if we look at our life, if we take Cedric here at the table talking with you, what reason do I have to be anxious or to be depressed? None. Right now, if my body is attuned to what I do right now, there is no emotional difficulty. There is just a relationship and contentment. I'm in tune with what's happening. That's also mean that
you're focused on the task at hand. Yes,
that's right. And I'm in relationship with you. That's also mean that if something happened and there is a earthquake, well, then I'll be in relationship with that and I will take action for that. Now, what's happening when we have anxiety is your body is having a prediction based on the past, based on anticipating something that might happen in the future or being reminded of something that happened in the past, as you said.
Yes.
Now, the key is, again, when you're just tuning to the body right there, and to the physical sensations, if the body reacts as depression or anxiety, it is because it's expecting a danger. But the fact is there is no danger. So if you just can tune in to the body for as long as the body is done with the depression or the feeling or the anxiety, it's enough for the body to recalibrate. Okay, there is no danger there. So it's all about tuning in to what is current in us right now. You're right. We stay in the past, we go in the future. In the present, there's no pain.
Right.
Literally. We just have to take the time for the body to feel like there is no danger, feel the sensations, nothing will happen. The prediction will be updated.
God, it's the power of the mind, right? There's a lot about the brain that we don't know, but there's also a lot about the brain that we do know. And you knocked it out of the park, dude. I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your day today to add the value that you did to this episode, because I learned a lot. I know our listeners are going to learn a lot when they're tuning into this. So let me ask you this: if there's where can we find more information about who you are, what you do? Where would you send people if there was a one-stop shop to consume more of what Cedric has to offer?
Go to emotionalresolution.org.
Okay, emotionalresolution.org. We'll get that in the show notes, man. This has been awesome. I can't thank you enough. You and your family have a fantastic weekend. And again, let's go ahead and get it on the calendar, man. I know that this is going to be a popular episode.
I'd love to. Thank you, Jason. Thank you very much. I'm looking forward for the next one.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. Take care.